Hello, everybody, and welcome to Podfluxxx, episode 39. That is the Cuban Crippler, Ricky Reyes. I am Kevin Fulton. Ricky, I'm feeling much better this week. How are you feeling? How is Texas? Do you still have that wind problem, or did you guys get that all squared away?
Yeah, the wind went away. Now it's fucking cold, like East Coast cold. I believe tomorrow and the next night it'll be in the high teens. So
Well,
Texas, no likey cold. So we're planning on having frozen and burst water pipes here. Businesses will be shutting down, and we're all gonna hide for a couple days.
uh, to borrow a phrase from our good friend Eric, good for your fucking ass.
Right.
Right. We got a couple of days of nice weather up here. We hit 60 like two or three times, and
Hmm,
then we had like snow flurries. So,
of course.
that immediately makes the 60 not count. But we're going to talk about things tonight that do count, and things that are counting in the favor of people's business, hopefully turning around and going upward. I would like to start with the New Japan Strong Show Battle in the Valley. I personally didn't witness any of that. You kept up with it on Twitter. I happened to be watching other things last night. So let's start with that. Rick, what do you know about this show? I got the results right here, and I read some things that were just actually very surprising to me. Do you want to go through all of the results, or is there anything that you really want to hit on?
Just the high notes, really. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Julia, the the strong women's champion.
I've seen clips.
Yeah, she's a stud, man. They have something really, really big with her. I'm surprised that she hasn't uh, challenged for the IWGP Women's title yet.
Right.
She's just doing the strong, but uh, yeah, man, she can go. Like she's a good wrestler. She looks amazing. Her costume and stuff is unique. So, but I mean, I was watching some of her stuff, and yeah, she's just a phenomenal wrestler. She's one of those. She's much like Rhea, where she's just like head and shoulders above everybody else. That they get
I'm
her in the
sorry, did
ring.
you mean Riho?
Yeah, exactly. No, Kenny,
Oh,
not her. But yeah, like she's just so much better than everybody else. I mean, she pulls good matches out of all the girls that she's in there with. I would really like to see her get into the IWGP Women's title picture there. I think that could elevate that title in a big way. But I mean, of course, there's rumors that WWE has interest in her, and I'm sure they do. Uh, so that could be why she hasn't stepped forward into that position yet. But as far as like the strong
right.
shows go, they have a star there.
I'll tell you another star that they've got there that I've been waiting to see show up any place but where he's been working is Jacob Fatu.
Oh yes,
Glad to see the Jacob Fatu
yeah.
New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong debut last night. Uh, what makes Jacob Fatu so different, in your opinion, than all of the other wrestlers from his lineage that have come before him?
I don't know if he's different as much as he's cut from the same mold as like a Yoko and Umaga. He wrestles like he looks. Um, he works to his strengths. He doesn't do anything that's insulting in any way. Um, that's what makes him special is he is like a spitting image of the greats of where he comes from and how he was bred and stuff. So I am so excited to see them do more with him. I really, really wish. I mean, well, I wish he could travel internationally to get to
Yeah.
Japan, but yeah, I guess if he could have, he'd already be with the bloodline now. So um, but yeah, man, like if Strong would go back to running more events like they were before, this would be a great thing for him. I mean, it's going to be a great thing regardless, right? Like so many people for the first time got to see him live, and on that type of stage is just great. Like the clips that I saw from him, it was just like him hitting his greatest hits,
Yep.
and like I've known him for years, so um, and the whole family for years, to be honest. But um, yeah, he big things to come. I'm excited. If I were running Strong, I mean, I would be looking for him to dethrone Kingston sometime soon, like more sooner than later, because
Very soon.
that
Yeah.
could be that could be a special, special thing for everybody involved, I think.
He for me, what makes him stand out from all the ones that have come before him is, like you said, he's like the spitting image, cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
He's just so much faster and more agile. I mean, they've all been really great. Like even before Yoko got huge, he was quick.
Yeah.
Umaga was quick.
Yeah.
They've all been quick, but I mean, for a guy his size, he's sudden. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I saw a clip where he hit a moonsault, popped up, and immediately went running and hit a dive through the ropes and came back in and then leveled somebody with it's just Jesus.
Yeah.
He's just such a different. I feel like a different athlete than the way any of those Samoans have been presented, on this side of the millennium. You know,
Yeah, for sure. I remember I did an event in New Jersey, and Matt Cross was on it, and he was wrestling Fatu Jacob. And I remember he was a little nervous because he's like, "Have you seen this guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I know him." I was like, "He's super nice. Like, you got that was one match where I was peeking through the curtain the whole time, just really just not watching them as much as watching the crowd reactions of what they were doing, because those two guys was going to be like it wasn't even fair, like uh
right?
how it really wasn't, and it was just like one of those things where I
I hope
remember
they were
Matt came.
last.
Yeah, exactly. Like Matt came through the curtain, and we were talking after in the locker room, and he goes, I was so scared that he was just going to crush me on everything, and he was like, it was just like the exact opposite, and he's like, same thing, he was everywhere he needed to be. He's fast, like his stuff was explosive, and like, and that's what made it so scary looking, was like he said, he would move so quickly, like for that double jump moonsault. It's like he's on you, and then he's off. It's like nothing, and it was just like, I mean, it's he's everything all those guys were, like you said, and just really fast and explosive at it. So I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, you would be an idiot if you were Tony Khan and not trying to do something with him, or New Japan, and just saying, hey man, let's work something out. You do every shot we got in America, and we just pay you a whole bunch of money for it, and you just do and I mean, he deserves to be there, because of what New Japan and everything is and stands for. Like, he fits right in every way. So
Yep.
yeah, it's big.
Uh, we've got Finley beating TJP on this show, which I'm sure TJ completely understood what that assignment was. And then we had Ukulele and Phantasmo beat the Bullet Club War Dogs. The woes continue for the Bullet Club here in 2024. I know when we initially talked about the Dome show, you said they needed to come out looking special. Bullet Club just not looking special here.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the deal is with that, unless the Dominion pay-per-view, are they waiting for that to be like the big kind of coming out party or something for them, or I'm not sure. It's like they're just strong enough to be like a mid-card, heel group, but nothing super main event or dominating, and which is odd for the Bullet Club in general, right? Because usually they're top tier in every division, just about. I mean, that was always the understanding that once you were in Bullet Club, you were kind of a made man with New Japan,
Right.
So, yeah, I'm curious on what all that is. Every time I read the results, yeah, I'm kind of like scratching my head, like what are we doing here? I mean, right now with the way pro wrestling business is going, who knows? Maybe those guys aren't going to be around much longer, you know. Because I had heard some stuff about Alex possibly having interest in going to WWE, and there's interest in him. So uh, there was rumors that Finley had, you know, talked to some people. I mean, his dad's still there, so obviously that door is always going to be open for him.
Right.
So I mean, he's if WWE or NXT are looking at like, hey, we didn't get Jay White, but in a year or two they can get Dave Finley, they're going to be able to fill that void, that they're
Right.
looking for. So who really knows what's really going on behind the scenes? I don't like the fact that they're not built up as strong as they should be, in my opinion. Like they look great. They all seem to gel like all the other Bullet Clubs groups did. They all seem to be like pretty good friends, and kind of understand what the Bullet Club is and supposed to be. So I would like for them to do more with them, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's not over yet. But yeah, they're definitely not up where they should be, in my opinion.
And speaking of not where they should be, uh, how do you feel about Eddie Kingston, the quote unquote American Triple Crown champion, well, the winner of the G Nun, um, being on not the main, not the semi main, but the ninth match out of 11 on this card as the New Japan Strong Champion?
Uh, well, they had. I mean, obviously Okada and Osprey was gonna go on last, right? So, I mean, and then Moxley and
Right.
and Shingo was a no DQ brawl. So I'm assuming they went on semi, or is that right?
Right.
Yeah. Um.
On at least after the Moxley match.
Yeah.
You
I
know what I
mean.
mean? You're
Yeah.
still. I understand you've got the no DQ brawl. You got Okada and Osprey. That's going to go on last. But you don't want to completely dump on your champion.
Yeah, but it was for the Continental or whatever. What's the new belt he has? It was for the AEW belt. So,
Well,
um,
yeah, but technically, isn't it for all three of them at that point?
I don't think
That's
so
what I
because
don't.
he had.
That's what I don't understand about this Continental Classic.
Yeah. Well, he had a match with the most deadliest, dangerous wrestler, Yuta on Dynamite or Rampage or something, for the strong belt. And I thought, wait, this is all ass backwards. Like, kid should be challenging for the strong title and in strong, and AEW should have had that title, on their show. But I don't know. I don't. Well, obviously, I don't like it. I mean, I'm kind of in that realm of the champion should be last every night. And if a non-title match like Okada and Osprey steal the show, then so be it. But it's the champion's job to, close the show. I think. I mean, that's just how I look at it. But I would have had. I mean, Kid is a great wrestler, but he doesn't have that star power yet, like Osprey and them. So I get why they went on last, but I don't know. And I mean, Okada's been closing that show, the Valley show, for a while. I think that's where he wrestled Buddy Murphy a couple years back. So, and I think did Sasha Banks close the show last time, winning the women's? Her and Kairi Sane closed it last year, I think. I believe, or the year before. I can't remember.
Did you catch that?
No.
Oh boy. I said, do you have anything else from this show that you wanted to go over?
No, not really. I mean, they were all pretty standard matches, like, the placement of the matches and stuff. Like, I wish, Finley's match should have been a little bit more highlighted. I know it's really just a big setup for their big blow off. And even then, the in Osaka, they're supposed to have like the big cage match, right? But it's really billed as like Osprey's final New Japan match, So a lot of stuff here is being like overshadowed by other things that, with the Osprey leaving stuff, it's kind of like taking the front a little bit.
You can tell what they think their American priorities are by the order in which they book this card. Like, they even had Matt Riddle and Jeff Cobb on later in the show than they had Finley on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to play off the fact that Matt Riddle was, recently a star here. Moxley on late in the show, Kingston on late in the show, Osprey on late in the show, and they definitely booked for where they were, I think.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it was right.
Yeah. No, I agree.
All right, moving on. So what I'd like to talk about now was the TNA. Oh, did you care to know what the attendance was for the New Japan show?
I saw that they sold out, right? I think it was like 2,000 something.
Yeah, I think Wrestle Tickets had them in at the final count was 21,152.
Yeah.
And that's announced as a sellout.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to the TNA's offering the big rebrand of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, which is a weird name. But they ended up distributing 1,630 tickets to this show.
Oh, wow.
And I will say off the bat, they did a better job of making 1,600 people look like a full 10,000 than AEW does making 5,000 look like 5,000. Okay, this was uh, a perfect size venue.
Yeah.
Uh, the crowd was into it all night, which was really cool. The show started with a like an Eric Young narration, talking like he was giving the definition of hard and then the definition of kill, and he was like, saying how they've been on the brink of death basically since they've been around.
Yeah.
And then it ended with him finishing the narration live in the building, the
Oh,
whole
okay.
roster out on the stage. It was really cool. Uh, and then the show started with the women's Ultimate X. Now, uh, I've said a lot of nice things. Okay. The audio mix for like the first half of the show was horrendous. Right? The ring was mic'd so loud that
Yeah.
the footsteps and you got to remember the women's match, the first match, there was 5 girls out there at once. And their footsteps sounded like a gazelle stampede.
Yeah.
Or like people were up in the mezzanine throwing bowling balls into the middle of the ring. It was just like all you could hear was the pitter patter
Mm-hmm.
of tiny lady feet running as fast as they can, and it was super distracting. But anyway, this match was Giselle Shaw, Alicia Edwards, Danny Luna, who I'd never seen or heard of, Jody Threat, who I've never seen or heard of, Tasha Steeles, who I'm familiar with, and Zaya Brookside, who apparently they have signed to a deal, who I'm also familiar with. Are you familiar with Zaya Brookside?
Yeah. Robbie
Okay. And
Brookside's daughter.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. They did a lot of crazy shit. The finish was like 3 of the girls got out there on the cables at one time to go for the deal. And the one girl was in really good shape. She's a big girl. She was like gassed by the time she got halfway out there.
Yeah.
Like she was blown up. So like she never made it to the 3-way spot at the X, and she just
Oh.
kind of let go and ate shit.
Yeah.
And it ended up with Giselle Shaw winning, but it wasn't bad. They did some cool spots. I was expecting for a disaster,
Yeah. For
just
sure.
with the situation and whatever, and
Right.
I was pleasantly surprised. The next match, PCO uh, beat Dirty Dango in a minute. And basically what happened was
What?
PCO's people or Dango's people got involved and they DQ'd it and threw the match out. And then Santino Marella came out. He's their authority figure.
Yeah.
And he made it a 6-man tag.
Oh.
Now, before we get to the 6-man tag, how did Santino Marella get away with using Santino Marella outside of WWE?
Oh yeah. Huh. Good question.
It's not just the name,
Yeah.
it's the accent, it's the
Yeah.
character. He was calling PCO Pico and Dango Danjo. Like he was doing the full gimmick. And I just don't did they just not care?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know because yeah, he's doing the whole gimmick and everything. Like that's definitely not his legitimate name, I couldn't imagine. And obviously it's like character wise, he's doing everything he did in WWE. So I have no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I honestly, I didn't know he was doing that. Like I didn't know he was. I knew that he was using the name, but I honestly didn't think for the Authority character, he was going to be like a comedy, you know, misspelling everyone's names or mispronouncing everyone's names. So
Dude, he
that
comes out,
makes
he's
it
got
even
a
better.
badge on a necklace like an undercover cop. It's
Oh man.
hysterical. He's got aviators on, like it's
Oh,
it's good shit.
jeez.
But anyway, he made the 6-man tag. He made it Rhino, PCO, and Jake something. Are you familiar with Jake something?
Oh yeah, Jake something. That he's a beast. I don't know why WWE hasn't sucked him up yet.
I don't know, but this dude has got monster written
He's
all
legit.
over him.
Yeah, he's
Against
legit too. Like,
Alpha Bravo, who I'm not sure, but I think Alpha Bravo used to be Johnny Bravo. Do you remember Johnny Bravo from the Indies,
yeah, yeah,
like for the
yeah.
last 20 years?
Right, yeah.
Uh, Oleg Oleg Prudius, who is Kozlov,
Oh, what?
and Dirty Dango, and they had a 6-man match. And this 6-man match was just like Jake something got the shine.
Mm,
Jake something made the hot tag. Jake
mm,
something got the finish. It was the Jake something show. But PCO dude just does dangerous things.
yeah,
He had Dango on the apron, like set up. You know how like Taker does his leg drop,
yeah,
guy's head hanging off the apron.
mhm, yeah.
This guy goes up to the top rope and just does a flipping senton right on his face.
Ah,
Yeah. Like where do you like there's no work there.
oh,
You're not
and
just
he's a
like, "Oh
big
yeah, I'll
dude.
bend my head
Right,
back to my back and we'll be
right.
okay." It's and then he makes Terry Funk's moonsaults look like Tiger Mask.
Yeah.
Um it's just I don't know. Time to go away.
Hmm,
In an unadvertised TNA Knockouts World Title match, they had MK Ultra, which is Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich, who were their champions. They're undefeated champions, by the way. And then their surprise opponents ended up being the Decay, Havoc, and Rosemary. And Havoc and Rosemary beat them. By the way, that Tommy Dreamer match that we were all like didn't need to happen
yeah,
ended up being on the pre-show, and he lost to Crazy Steve.
yeah. Okay.
And the Rich Swann and Steve Macklin match also ended up being on the pre-show.
Oh,
So they thought it was better to put out this Knockouts tag team match than Rich Swann and Steve Macklin. And then Dorian Pena, I'm sure you're familiar with him,
yeah, yeah,
came out there and did a segment with Scott D'Amore
yeah,
announcing a AAA partnership.
yeah.
So we were talking about that just a couple of weeks ago
Mm,
about how all the partnerships and everything are working.
yeah,
And they actually ended up like doing a gimmick contract signing that then led into the Chris Sabin, Vikingo, and Kushida 3-way match for the X Division title. Which,
give
go ahead.
uh giving the impression that Vikingo would win the X title. I'm
Yes,
sure.
right. And let me tell you something. This was the best showing I've ever seen from Vikingo. Can you figure out why?
Because Chris Sabin and Kushida put him where he's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. All he did for the
Hmm.
entirety of this match was
Yeah.
sell
Yeah.
and then hit a move when they told him to
Right.
and then go back to selling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So before he got a chance to put 17 spectacular things together,
Right.
he'd hit one and that would be the end of his flurry. And you actually got to remember the things that he did,
Yeah.
and it wasn't preposterous.
Right.
It didn't look stupid. It was really well put together by, I'm going to say Saban.
I was just gonna say, and then a lot of people don't realize how big Chris Sabin is, like until you meet him in person. So I'm sure he's looking at Vikingo like, yeah, you're
Yeah,
not gonna beat me up here in my house, like
right.
in my match. We're I've got the perfect match for you because we've done it 10 million times with 30 different types of wrestlers like you. So I expected that match to be really good. I mean, I'm all for Vikingo against Chris Sabin one-on-one because
Sure.
of that exact reason, where he will be able to hit spectacular things that people will enjoy, and Chris Sabin will know when and where to do all those things. But yeah, no, I mean, I figured it was going to be, as usual, a very, very good triple threat match, because Chris Sabin could make it that way.
Um, Interesting statistic that they pointed out on the show last night.
Mhm.
Chris Sabin has held every design of the X Division title,
That's awesome.
right?
He's like
So,
a
because I
10
know
time
there's been at least
champion.
7.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was a good match. I'd like to think that when Chris Sabin retires from in ring,
Yeah.
he will get a job as a super high paid agent who only puts together triple threat matches
Oh my God. That would be awesome.
because he's, probably had the
Yeah.
most of them
Yeah.
in freaking history of this wrestling company. Anywho, the next match, which was another pleasant surprise for me, was Josh Alexander versus Alexander Hammerstone.
I figured that was going to be good.
Bro, Hammerstone,
Yeah.
uh, it's weird because he's really good
Yeah.
and he's so big,
Yeah.
but everything looks like effortless, but also uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like everything he does, it's like he picked him up for a catatonic and he hits this big catatonic, but he doesn't bother laying down with it. He just kind
Mhm.
of dumps him. And they had a really good match. Hammerstone for a big dude sells really well.
Mhm.
They put some jeopardy on his knee late in the match. And Josh Alexander, I feel like, is super underrated to anybody outside of the TNA bubble. They went to 15 minutes.
Oh.
It was good. Well, yeah, it was a good match, and Alexander won. The next match was a 4-way tag team match for the TNA World Championship, and I actually had a hard time getting into this. And I think it was because of it being a 4-way. I feel like
Yeah.
they did a disservice to the teams in it by making it a 4-way because nobody really got a chance to stand out. But it was ABC, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay, the Rascals, the Laredo Kid, and Mike Bailey. More on that in a minute. Against the Grizzled Young Veterans. I don't like Mike Bailey. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on Mike Bailey?
Nah, I don't get it. I'm not I don't get it. And it's like he's playing a video game character when
A
he's out there.
Japanese video game character.
Yeah. So that none of it. I understand he does some athletic stuff. I get it. Um, but it doesn't impress me when it's like by itself, and it doesn't flow with anything, and it doesn't it's like it doesn't make any sense, because it's like his stuff seems choppy because it's a series of things. It's never a gradual build to something big. It's kind of like, here's a bunch of stuff, and then he waits. Here's a bunch of stuff, and then he waits, and then it's like, yeah, none of it flows well for me. I'm not a fan of it at all. I understand he's super athletic. I get that, but that doesn't mean that he's good at it.
And beyond all of that, it just none of it looks believable.
Right. That's the biggest problem, right?
And something, this is going to sound silly, completely, totally, ridiculously silly. I am very, very thrown by the kick pads with no shoes.
Yeah, it's like it looks stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it. It's annoying and it's stupid. So
Yeah. So that was that. The ABC one. But I would have much rather have seen the Bullet Club guys against the Grizzly Young Veterans, or the
yeah,
Bullet Club guys against the Rascals. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure.
This was too much, and
Yeah,
it was like too much of the same.
yeah,
They couldn't have found, of the 4 tag teams, they couldn't have found like 3 more similar. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like, I feel like the style of the Bullet Club guys is like completely interchangeable with what the Rascals do, which is completely interchangeable with what Laredo Kid and Mike Bailey are going to do.
right. Yeah,
So it's too much the same in one match. I kind of checked out. Uh the next match was for the TNA Women's, the Knockout World Championship, and Jordan Grace beat Trinity in 15 minutes in
wow,
what was a really good match.
that's good.
I was surprised that it went this way. I thought Trinity might have brought more recognition to the brand than Jordan Grace would from like a mainstream
Right.
uh, point of view. What do you think here?
I mean, obviously, yes, because of name value, but uh, I don't know. Maybe it has more to do with Trinity's future. I guess you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that was the first thing I thought when I saw the title switch. But on the other end of it too, like they have put a lot of stock in Jordan Grace, you know. So I believe that they're using that to catapult her to make her a bigger star, which it does. Um, yeah, I didn't think it would be a bad match at all. Jordan Grace is, I mean, for the most part, she's a solid worker, and I figured that Trinity's I'm not a fan of hers like everybody else is. I don't know if everyone else is because she was in WWE, but in ring wise, I don't think she's very good or very believable at all in anything. So I looked at this as Jordan Grace can wrestle anybody and get a good match
Right.
out of anybody type of thing. I look at it more of a here's Jordan Grace's moment as opposed to Trinity passing the title off, you know. So yeah.
Regardless of what you think about Trinity's work or how believable her stuff is, she jumps up in the air and throws that ass in your face. You're going night night.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Pull the blankie up, okay? Turn the lights off. It's sleepy time. But the next match, with an outcome that surprised me until I saw how everything shook out, we have Moose defeating Alex Shelley in 21 minutes and 45 seconds for the TNA World Championship. Now, uh, Moose's matches, Moose is really good,
Yeah.
right? For being
Yeah.
for the size that he is, with the background that he has, and still being, even though, what is he, like 10 years in or something,
Yeah.
maybe still being relatively new to pro wrestling. He's really good, and he's got one of those auras. Out is still doing the Moose deal, and they're still with him. So I
Mm.
feel like it's a hard position for for a guy, especially a guy like Alex Shelley. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As a baby face, where people who are watching this product are going to be more inclined to cheer for somebody like Moose than somebody like Alex Shelley. Uh, I feel anyway, personally. I did want to get a longer reign out of Alex Shelley than we did get. So where are you at before we get to all the post match stuff? Where are you at right now with this?
Yes, I wanted a much longer reign for Alex Shelley. Um, because he is a little bit smaller in that picture, as far as like the world title picture. So he gives you that uncertainty of a finish, like he could lose at any time type of thing. So I thought that they could have did until at least Slammiversary with him with the belt, if
Mm-hmm.
not all the way to Bound for Glory this year,
Right.
which would have made it even more special. Uh, so I like Moose, and I get it. Like I wasn't against it. Like I didn't think like, oh damn, like Moose won. Like I was going into this show, I thought I could see them doing both, and I would be okay with both. The problem with Moose is now he's so big and so dominant. Like, who do you get to? How do you get anybody to? How do you get a believable challenger? Um, of somebody that could beat him because he's so big. You know, I know like a bigger name, I get that, but really, realistically, once you're standing in the ring with him, he's so big and in such good shape, and he's been so solid there for so long. Like he's a very believable and viable, character in that position. So I'd like to see Moose's reign go. Moose's reign needs to go for a while, like a long while. I don't know if they have anybody that could really match him character wise or anything like that, because now he's got like a whole group around him, so that's of good wrestlers. So yeah, I wanted Alex Shelley to go through at least a couple more pay-per-views, I would say, but I get putting it on Moose too, so I was good either way.
And then the thing that everybody is talking about coming out of this
Yeah.
show was, oh, good night, sweetie. I love you. What everybody is talking about coming out of this show is the debut of Nick Nemeth. Now, 90 some odd days ago, when
Yeah.
Nick Nemeth was released from WWE, I said, man, this guy could go to TNA, put TNA on his back. People
Yes.
are going to want to go there, bring
Yes.
awareness to this brand. And then when
Yes.
he showed up at New Japan last week, I was kind of like, oh man. I mean, I was stoked that he's going to do New Japan, but I really, really wanted for him to show up here in TNA. I'm going to sidebar for a minute. Also, we didn't talk about Dana Brooke debuting as Ash by Elegance, which is whatever. And more importantly, Top Dollar debuting in the pre-show with DJ Who Kid. So Top Dollar making news in the world of wrestling. But anywho, back to Dolph Ziggler, excuse me, Nick Nemeth. Uh, His name flashes on the Tron. The guys all in the aisleway, Moose's crew, they turn around to get him coming through the tunnel. He shows up behind Moose, super kick, zigzag, hits the crowd, rips off the Motley Crue shirt to reveal the TNA wrestling shirt. Place went nuts. He yells, "Let's fucking go." What does this really do for TNA? Do you think there's a deal in place here, or is there a per date? Do you think? What are your thoughts on this all coming together?
Yeah, everything you said that it could be, it's going to be, and I think it's great. Like, you know, it's, it's not a full-time schedule for him, which is ideal for what he wants to do, which is obviously work for New Japan and TNA. So it's really a perfect scenario. He'll be able to do the strong stuff. Um, he doesn't have to be at every TNA taping, I'm sure. Yeah, it's really, really good. I mean, I book to challenge for the challenge Moose, and they screw him over somehow. Moose hits his big finish, 1, 2, 3. And then you go a different direction with him from there, but it gets Moose over strong, gets his group over strong. He won't lose any steam because this type of audience already knows what he's capable of. So a loss to him, that's kind of his thing. He loses, but he has good matches. Hopefully Strong builds him up to do some good stuff. New Japan will take care of him, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm super excited, man. Like, I was really excited. That it's funny because did we talk about Mustafa Ali challenging? No, we didn't. We didn't talk about Mustafa Ali. Showed up at the Strong. I guess like they played a vignette or something of him, but he's doing like a campaign type thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's wrestling. What's his name? I forgot his name. The guy you like, the junior heavyweight champion, or was Hiromu.
Takahashi. Hiromu.
Yeah, yeah, Hiromu. Yeah, he's wrestling Hiromu.
Okay,
At the win
that's gonna be
at,
great.
at the Windy City one in Chicago, because Mustafa Ali's from Chicago. So and that'll be. I did the Windy City Riot the year before or whenever it was, and it
Right, you
was
had that
sold
8 man.
out. Yeah, and it was sold out, and they had 3,000 people. This venue is a little bit, either it's restructured or it's a little bit bigger, but it's 3,500, which will be their biggest event in the United States at least. But yeah,
Everybody should
that's what
then probably thank Jungle Boy for that house, or
pretty much. Yeah, that's what we're all planning on doing at least. Um, and yes, but as far as like Ziggler showing up, it's perfect for him. He doesn't want to be on the road full time. We know that. He's going to do some long shots with New Japan, which is perfect. It's just good business all the way around. The last thing I wanted was Ziggler to be in AEW. The last thing I wanted was that,
right.
because he would have been fumbled and screwed over. I mean, I don't know. I mean, next year that could happen, in 6 months it could happen. I don't know. But for now, we got him in two places that'll appreciate him and use him right. So hopefully he sticks around for a lot longer than just a year. So
And we're gonna get into one last topic here tonight, and it's a little bit of a rumor hitting the internet right now. People are saying The Rock versus The Rock versus Roman Reigns will not be happening at Elimination Chamber in Australia. That it is tentatively penciled in to happen in our country. They're not saying WrestleMania. They're just saying not at Elimination Chamber. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are why, and if not there, then is it supposed to headline a WrestleMania, I assume?
It would have to.
Right,
The reasons I'm thinking is A, The Rock probably can't commit 3 or 4 days
right,
of flying to Australia, doing the
right,
show, flying back, and then getting right after that flight. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, right.
That's the only reason I see for it not
Yeah,
being at
right.
Elimination Chamber. So now, if you are doing it at WrestleMania, uh, who gets bumped?
Who do I want to see get bumped? I think we all know that answer. um, Man, I don't know because then, well, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess Cody gets bumped, right?
Yep.
Because there's already a story with Punk and Seth is a story that we're just going to watch develop that we already kind of know the answer to, and I'm sure they're going to give us some nice ups and downs while we go through that ride. But the taking one of those nights for Roman and Rock, I mean, is huge for WrestleMania, which will be great all the way around. And obviously, Roman rolls on as champion to destroy who was it would be Hogan's first run then,
It
right?
would
I
be
believe.
Hogan's first run, and then you can do a SummerSlam drop.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're gonna make it work, right? But so, what does that do for Elimination Chamber? Because is elimination like is that turn into like Cody's? Well, the Elimination Chamber winner is usually challenging the other champion.
Right.
So, what
So
does that do for that?
I still have it as Punk wins the Rumble and challenges Rollins.
Right.
Uh, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Elimination Chamber winner is going to end up challenging Gunther, which is what I have for WrestleMania for Cody versus Gunther.
Uh, I mean, I guess like I don't know. Did you see that they just announced Punk was going to be at Elimination Chamber? So yeah,
Um, unless, hey, listen, unless Roman works both nights, Rock screws him against Cody on night one, and then they have an impromptu match on night two.
yeah. So Punk doesn't get to main event WrestleMania.
Well, he gets to, double. Remember whenever Hogan wasn't the actual main event, it turned into a double main event, brother.
It's got
That's
to,
it.
yeah. Of
Yeah, double main event.
course, we got to bring Sid up to double main event WrestleMania, brother.
Yeah. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get the Godfather, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a catch with Harvey Whippleman. Okay. And then The Rock is gonna come out and be like, I bought him a truck.
Yeah.
That's my friend.
Yeah.
And he's gonna
Put him
defend
down.
Harvey Whippleman
Right.
and cost Roman the title.
That makes sense.
Right. Uh with
Yeah,
that being, go ahead.
that no, that was all news to me when you told me. I did not know that that was even in question, but I mean, it makes sense when you think about like the travel and probably stuff he has to do. Uh, it just makes it annoying because, you know, I mean, if you're gonna commit, like at least commit. I don't know. That's the difference between The Rock and Cena, right?
Yep.
When Cena came back, he was like, "Hey, I'll do house shows. I'll travel around the world for you guys. I'm gonna, give the WWE a big shot in the arm, business wise, like all the way around, everywhere I can." Now we got this guy who's like, "Well, 3 days is a bit much." It's like, come on, man. Let's, I'm sure he's the fucking Rock. Like he can, move some other stuff around,
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know, unless in his mind he's like, I'm not going all the way over there for that. Or did he expect it to be WrestleMania? I don't know. Like all these things were ironed out months in advance. So now this is just stupid. I would have liked to have seen, because that just adds to Roman's run if he does Rumble, elimination with The Rock, and then loses it at WrestleMania. It adds all the way around. So now it's just hurting that whole Roman's legacy and everything. It hurts it in a big way, I think. So if not, I'm interested to see. Obviously, Roman wins at WrestleMania, and to see everyone just be angry that he wins another WrestleMania. That alone, I'm up for, just because how mad people get.
Booking heat now, brother.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
You're right. And then my last question for you tonight. If you look back on our run of shows, our last 39 episodes, all of the things that I've called or predicted that have completely ironed out, am I not currently the most prolific mind in professional wrestling? Go ahead, expand.
You're our generation of Pat Patterson.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is where we roll the gimmick on this week's episode. Ricky, you've been a gentleman and a scholar. Motherfluxxers, we hope you enjoyed this. I'll catch you next week, bud. We'll catch you all next week. This has been Podfluxxx, episode number 39. Here comes the gimmick.